On June 6, 2015, the Chinese Historical Society of America, in conjunction with Stanford's Chinese Railroad Worker Research Project, held a first-ever conference on campus to discuss the role those workers had in building the Transcontinental Railroad. This year marks the 150th anniversary of the first Chinese laborers being hired to complete one of the greatest engineering feats in United States history. A sold-out crowd, which included more than 50 descendants of railroad workers, attended. Among them was Paulette Liang of San Francisco.
My great-grandfather, Lum Ah Chew, worked on the Central Pacific Railroad in August, September, and October of 1866. And I found him on the Central Pacific payroll ledgers. They had him listed as a cook and a waiter, but after his stint at the railroads, he ended up in the Delta, the Sacramento Delta, and settled in Cortland. He worked on the levees, and then he became a farmer. He was a farmer there for over 40 years, and he raised a family. And then my grandfather and my mother were both born in Cortland.
You said you saw his name on the actual payroll records.
Yes.
When you see that, what kind of feeling do you get?
Oh, that's an aha moment, Hey, he's really here, And it was listed as Ah Chew. Everybody was listed as Ah something, And there he was, and he was the only Chew. And we knew his name, his name was Lum Chew, so. And actually, because he was listed that way, all through from the 1860 census and all the other censuses, everything in this country, the family name became Chew instead of Lum. Well, my mother kept all the family history, orally, mainly orally, but she had many, many photos, and she had stories that her grandmother had told her, and she passed on to us. And because we have the oral history and the approximate dates of when the family came, I was able to find them.
Right now there seems to be almost this movement of trying to get these railroad workers the recognition they deserve. When you hear about this, is it like, wow, it's about time?
Yes, it is about time. It's only been 150 years, And it is, because you think about it and you look in the history books, and there's really just like a few sentences. And actually, I was up at Donner Lake a couple of years ago, and that museum there is horrible. That they had an exhibit about the Chinese. It was so bad, I complained to the ranger, and she said, "Oh, we're building a new museum. Come back in a couple of years, But it's just, I don't know, what can you say? I mean, they were treated like they did nothing.
What would you like the audience to know about your great-grandfather, what he did in helping settle the West?
Well, I think that he must have been a very courageous person. He came here when he was 19 years old, didn't speak any English, and he was, he learned to speak English. He learned to really navigate the system. I mean, they faced tremendous discrimination here. I mean, I think there's rampant racism, and they weren't allowed to go to school, weren't allowed to own land, all of that. And he became a tenant farmer and made a good life for his children and eventually all of us.